Welcome to Carolina Sculpture Studio. My name's Clint Button, and I'm a granite sculptor. We've got a different little project here, kind of a side job, not really what I normally do, but I carve anything. If you can carve it, I mean, I want to see what I can carve. And many years ago, it's been over 10 years, I got a piece of this fossilized shell at the beach. I hate the beach. I like the beach. I hate the sand. I hate the hot weather. I like to go when it's cold and rainy and overcast. But I've got some of this fossilized shell that's just really cool. It's all tubes and everything. And this is it may not be shell, but it's shaped. I think it's a piece of shell that's been consumed or built up. I don't really know. Real similar to what I've used before. And another piece, it may just be some coral. This is another piece of coral. And but I took some of the shell while I was bored at the beach, carved some little hearts for pendants. And my wife's been wearing one for over a decade. Lots of people like them. And got a daughter that's headed to Japan for college. And we're wanting to send over souvenirs and thank you gifts for some of the acquaintances over in Japan. And so I was going to try to break this down and carve a few hearts for pendants for the female friends. And if that doesn't work, I've got a little bit of turquoise here that's out of New Mexico. I bought it out there in Roswell when I was visiting, and it's natural, it's undyed, and but they're more shards, and there won't be a very big heart. They'll be pretty small. So this is a backup plan. But I'm going to try to break this down and make half a dozen hearts out of some of this shell or coral or whatever it is, and send them to Japan. So let's see how it goes. I have to look through the equipment and see what I've got to break this down and not waste material. So hang in there, and we'll get to work. Anything you do like this, it's important to map it out and plan the size. I'll probably make a little heart out of clay and figure it oversized, and then see what I've got that'll cut this with the least amount of loss or waste. So it cuts really easy, but it's just really fragile. So sit back and relax. I'll see if this turns out to be a good video and some good hearts. Alright, that went pretty good. This stuff's pretty stable. Some of it's very, very tender, but it's got such a cool cross section that when you carve it and shape it, it really creates a lot of interesting detail. So, and it's actually pretty stable. Like I said, my wife's been wearing one very similar to this for over a decade without taking it off, and it's pretty cool. So now we'll work on shaping these, and this will probably be done more with abrasion than anything else, because I can press and work it some. I'll see. I got a couple tools I'm going to try and see what I like, but a lot of times you can just work it with a coarse file to shape it to what it needs to be, and then we'll put a hole in it, and we'll have one for Miku, one for her grandmother, one for her mother, and one for her sister, and be some cool little hearts for them to have over in Japan. So grab some more tools. I'll get them all worked up, and then I'll do the cleaving it, drill them, make sure they're all pretty close to even so they're consistent. This one needs a little bit more right there. But really cool medium to work in. Just fun. It's really a lot faster doing it with a belt sander than it is with a pocket knife on the beach. Whenever you're doing something reductive, and you want to make it as large as possible. You have to find the orientation of the job or the object you're seeking in the piece to maximize what you use, so that you don't just cut a piece and then just randomly cut it into a certain shape. You want to make the most of it, because this is the only piece of coral I got, and it will be a bummer to have 3 of these, not 4. So think about that when you're laying something out. What I'll do with this one, I've started right here. I'm going to slowly work it down to try to find the largest dimension in there that I can. Probably reduce some off here as well, and that should make it pretty close to the same size as these. And then if I've got one that's really huge, I can always make it a little bit smaller. Back to the belt sander. Okay, we got 4 little almost hearts. Still got to put the cleave in them on the top, and we'll balance them out and get them all even. But that made good use of that little piece of coral. I assume this is coral more than shell, and so it's cool stuff. Fun to get to work with different media like this, and people always wonder what these things are when they see them, these hearts, and they don't believe that they're just made out of something you picked up off the beach. So, come along good. Here we go. Got 4 little, like a puff heart, make out of gold. Got some dimension. Try to make them round so they don't have any flat spots. And I'll probably work on, I'm going to go find a diamond bit, see if I can put a hole through them so we can hang it on a cord, tie a loop through it, and then it can mount on a cord. But there's 2 that are a little bit bigger and 2 that are a little bit smaller. And it's really curious when you make stuff like this and you give people a choice. It's always curious to see which one they choose. So let's see if we can find a diamond bit that'll help make a hole in these things. Worked out pretty well. Used a small diamond bit, a die grinder, and was able to drill a nice hole in each one of them, and quite thankfully they didn't break, because this is usually what happens. You'll go through all this to shape them and form them and do everything, and then when you're trying to penetrate the hole, they blow out and collapse. So it didn't, so pretty happy. So that's about it. Just another little project here, carving something completely different. Some I think it's a fossilized, a cast of fossil that was in a shell, not the shell that was actually fossilized. A little different material, but pretty same to work with. So, like I said, I love to carve stuff. Carve anything I can carve. So these are headed to Japan. So they'll be there in a few days. But anyways, my name's Clint Button here at Carolina Sculpture Studio. I'm a granite sculptor, but I'll carve anything. Thanks for coming in.